Hi, everyone. Welcome to another video. My name is Chris Scappatura. I'm here with Dr. Sharif Ibrahim. If you can tell by my shirt, we're doing a holiday-themed video today. Now, it's not that we're going to be talking about the holidays, but we're going to be talking about the food that you consume during the holidays and the effect that it can have on you. And we're in Hanukkah right now. We're going to make our way through a couple of other holidays throughout the season. We've got Christmas, we've got Kwanzaa, we've got New Year's. Sharif and I thought we'd take some time and give you some tools to help you get through the season.
Thank you, Chris. I think this is really a very important topic because when you talk about the festive season, I think there are two main problems. One problem is that this is a season where people gain too much weight and they can't lose it. And this is the reason behind the New Year resolution, because they gain too much weight during the festive season. The other thing, which is really very important as well during the festive season, is that people become at risk of infection. And we know that the flu is the main infection in the past, but nowadays, actually, we have another infection, which is COVID-19, lingering around as well, and that might really cause a problem during the festive season.
Okay, so let's get started. First things first, let's talk about the food itself. When you go out to dinner, there might be a lot of sugar, there might be a lot of salt. And so is there anything we can do to help them with that, Sharif?
So the main issue here is if you eat sugar and processed carbs are going to be converted to sugar as well. This is going to put you into the big sugar problem because the sugar spikes and the sugar crashes, and people start having the symptoms of fatigue and the symptoms of fluctuating energy level, and they want to sleep and they develop brain fogs and all sorts of things, afternoon slump, and they have sleep disturbance at night as well. The other food which we consume during the festive season is turkey. We have got the other meats. Most of these are going to contain a lot of oxidants. We call them scientifically as AGs, which is the abbreviation of advanced glycation end products. The bad thing about them, they are going to trigger inflammation and oxidative stress, which is going to cause quite a lot of damage in the body. If you take some vitamin C, that is going to help you because vitamin C is an antioxidant, and these are going to add more oxidants to your system. So it's going to neutralize the amount of oxidants and those type of food and prevent really damage of your cells and tissues. So this is a big problem. And I think if we become a little bit mindful about what we eat, we know that we cannot avoid the bad food, but at the same time, we try to take as much as we can of the good food, something like vegetables and fruits and beans and nuts and seeds. But the good one contains a lot of nutrients, and nutrients is going to help processing the bad food as well. And then the good food also contains very high level of fiber, and the high level of fiber is going to slow down absorption of sugar and fat.
You said the word mindful, and I really like that word as we go into the festive season. I love sugar. I've said it in many videos, and there's going to be an abundance of sugar at every table I sit at in the festive season. I just know it. But I'm also mindful of it. In the past, my metabolic rate, the metabolism, I could burn off anything. And so I didn't gain weight. But the problem is I was ingesting all that sugar, and I was what they called skinny fat. In other words, my inside was not good. Times have changed. I'm a little bit older. And so if I do eat that stuff, it could cause me to gain weight. But more importantly, I've also, through studying with you, Sharif, I've become more mindful of the effect of all that sugar. Even though my body didn't gain a lot of weight, I was still causing a lot of disruptions in my body, inflammation, all those sorts of things. I remember in the through the season, I would eat all this sugar, and for some reason in January, my voice would be awful. And it was all this inflammation from all the sugar that had gone into my body. That inflammation causes more problems. And as we've talked about in previous videos, metabolic issues can happen to you no matter what size you are. Cholesterol, heart attack. I remember my doctor pointing out that in January, the number of men that are thin that are in the cardiac ward in the hospital, they look just like me because what do? Ate all through the holidays. So be mindful of what you're putting in your mouth. And one of the main ones for me that has completely stopped, and you may want to consider it also, is fizzy drinks or pop or soda, depending on what you call it. It's truly one of the hidden sugars that people don't even really think about. And I'm not even talking about the alcohol content in a mixed drink. I'm just talking about having a soda. That's a pure mistake, really. It is sugar. And so I might say to myself, okay, no pop, no fizzy drinks, but maybe I will have one tart or I'll have one cookie. And again, people during the holidays are like, oh, you should have two, you should have three, you should have four. Don't worry about it. Worry about it. Be mindful of what's on the table and how much you need to consume. And the last point I'll make about food, and then I'll pass it back to you, Sharif, something I've taught myself is to eat significantly slower. I take a little bit less food, a lot less food, but I eat it much slower. And so the people around me who took a mountain of food and I who took a reasonable amount of food, we finished at the same time. And up here, my brain's, oh, you should be full now because everybody else had big plates. So I love that, Sharif. Being mindful during the holiday season and throughout the year is probably one of the key things to being healthier as we go into January.
Yeah, I think that is that's a very important point, which you mentioned. If you eat slow, it's going to be beneficial because what will happen here, you taste the food, you enjoy the food, but at the end of the day, you haven't taken that many calories, actually. That's one thing which could really happen. But on the other hand, you mentioned something really very important about the liquid sugar. It is actually the worst type of sugar, which is high fructose corn syrup. And that does not really raise your blood sugar, but it goes straight into the liver to be converted actually to fat, because that which the liver and make the liver like a fat factory. And that is going to store quite a lot of fat in the liver. It is the main cause. It's the number one cause of fatty liver and what is known as non-alcoholic and liver disease, which has taken over the alcoholic liver disease as the number one cause of liver transplant. Alcohol also is liquid sugar, so we can take too many calories of alcohol without feeling it. And this is why the studies has found that the festive season weight gain is more in males, and a big chunk of it is due to alcohol. And we know that men drink more than women. There are so many studies about the statistics of who gain weight during the festive season and by how much. Some studies has shown that almost 50% of the population gain between 2 to 4 kilograms in weight during the festive season. 20% of the population gain more weight between 4 to 6 kilograms during the festive season. And all of this, they struggle at the beginning of the year, and they wanted to go on a new year resolution.
Yeah, no doubt. Everybody does. So that's inevitable, according to the statistics, that most of the people listening to us today are going to gain some weight. So let's go into that next section. Let's talk about detox. Let's talk about exercise. Let's talk about supplements. So we'll start with exercise. Really, it's as simple as I always say, lacing up your boots, going for a walk each day, taking some time to actually get outdoors and walk. If it has to be on the treadmill, I understand that. But again, it's all about being mindful. Know that if you want to sit at that table and eat that extra piece of pie, or you want to have a little bit of extra meat, whatever it is that you want to do extra, then you have to do a little extra when it comes to the exercise. Now, it's not the be all end all. You can't exercise off all of your weight. It's a combination of eating correctly and a bunch of other things, but exercise does help the body in many different ways, one of them being weight management. So take the time, just put on your running shoes or your walking shoes or your boots and just get out, go around the block.
But I think the most important thing before the festive season, you have to set up your program for exercise and for health. And as you said, it's not necessary to go to the gym every day. It's not necessary to go run a marathon every week or something like that. But it is any form of movement is going to help.
And now, on top of that is adding some supplements to that plan and also ways to detox.
Yeah, the supplements are going to be crucial and it's going to be very essential during the festive season. Why? Because we are taking food which contains too many calories and very little nutrients. And without nutrients, the body cannot process food and cannot make energy of it. And so if you cannot make energy, what will happen? The body will put all these calories and store them as fat. And this is why people gain too much weight. So if you can just think about what are the essential nutrients for helping the energy making process. And I think the most important thing is like B vitamins, something called alpha lipoic acid is really very important. Things like antioxidants, like vitamin C, so magnesium, potassium, calcium, these are really all very important. And that is going to help the body makes more energy and give you more vitality, makes you more happy and enjoy the festive season rather than having excess body weight.
We've been dealing with COVID for a number of years, but the flu is still around and the common cold, they're all here. And bad food can have an effect on that.
Yes, there is a lot of studies which show that eating the bad food actually puts you at risk of infection. Many studies actually has confirmed this point. And this is why we have got a very high rate of flu in the past, and now a very high risk of COVID as well. Interestingly, both of them, they are viral diseases. And we can really use simple measures to help us reduce the severity of viral diseases or even treat them. If you have got a common cold, you can treat it with very simple supplements can help you deal with that. Just say, for example, we are all aware about vitamin C, and I think there is quite a lot of research happened during the COVID pandemic, which showed that vitamin C is really very important in treatment of viral disease. And I remember one of the best studies which showed these patients who have been given higher doses of vitamin C while they are really very critical in the intensive care unit, they succeeded. They got better. These are the ones who got better. There are two other really very important nutrients which is going to help you also prevent and treat viral infection. And this is zinc and quercetin. Zinc is really very important for the function of the immune system. And what does that mean? That means the viruses are very tiny organisms. They cannot really live an independent life. So the viruses will go inside the cell, hijack the energy and use it. And then they multiply, increases in number until they become really big number. And then the cell will burst and release them. And then they go to other cells in the body. So this is the pattern of the viral infection. If you can get zinc inside the cell, the virus will not go inside there because zinc means death for these viruses. And so if the virus is not going to go inside the cell, then it's not really going to gain the food of the cell and use it for the increasing in number and for their cell divisions and everything. During the COVID-19, many studies have shown that zinc and quercetin were really very helpful to treat the acute viral infection and at the same time to prevent it. But generally speaking, many people might just ask, why bad food make you at risk of infection? And if you can think about the adrenal gland, which is the gland that produces stress hormone, and whether you're going to be stressed during Christmas, and there is a very clear external stressor. For example, people are struggling with the shopping and things like that. I think most are going to have like internal stresses. As you said, the blood sugar up and down, and there is too much toxins in the body and stressing the body from inside. And while that is happening, the stress hormones will be too high. So the adrenal gland will be working over time, producing stress hormone to meet that really need. So the other hormone, which is the stress hormone, is called cortisol. The other hormone is cortisone, which is the main hormone that supports the immune system function. When you are producing too much cortisol, the stress hormone, then you are not making the hormone that supports the immune system. And then the people are become at risk of suffering infections, particularly in the festive season, particularly viral infection.
We know statistically that it is one of the most stressful times of the year because of family, because of budgets, because of spending money. whatever it might be, a lackluster year financially, they all will culminate over this festive season. And it comes back again, here I am, right back where I was, to being mindful of it. When you go to visit someone, if you must go to visit that person, and you know what? There's a seminar I do called After Me, You Come First, which means I'm going to take care of myself first. So if you think that going to a festive event is going to be too stressful for you, don't go. Oh, but Chris, I have to go. I'm not here to tell you what you can and cannot do or should not do. But if it's going to cause that kind of stress on you, is it really worth your body, your life for that stress? Now, if you do have to go, be mindful. And when you go in, watch for the triggers. Your siblings in particular have known you your entire life. They know what triggers you. And even if you're in your 40s, 50s, and 60s, they're going to trigger you. You need to be aware that's about to happen and deactivate it. What happens is if the trigger doesn't go off, the person who's trying to pull it on you loses interest very often. So for you, it's just a matter of being mindful of things and stepping away from situations. The other big stressor that I talk about often is I always tell people, do you know the best way to save money is to not spend it? Now that sounds pretty logical, but people will run out and buy something because it's on sale. I get flyers all week long in the mail, in my newspaper. Hey, 30% off, 50% off. And it motivates people to go out and spend that money that they don't have. The best way to save money is not to spend it. The holidays is not a measure of how much money you can spend on people. It's a measure of how much time you can give to them and the love you want to share with them. Now, I want to go into the next one, Sharif, which is all about people who are going away somewhere.
Yeah, I think the main issue here about going away from home is the dependence on restaurant food. And restaurant food is not really very good because many people have got, say, intolerance to gluten or the products, and they will be in trouble actually with this restaurant food. The food also is cooked with the wrong oil. So if you're going to go on a holiday during the festive season, the best thing to do is to choose the self-catering holidays, because you'll be able to cook your food and you'll have a chance actually to cook your food. Even if you can do one meal, that is going to be helpful because I'm sure it's going to be like a healthy meal. The other thing also is really very important. Try to choose an accommodation that has got sport facilities. And when you see that you have paid for the sport facilities, you'll be very keen to use them. The other thing also is to choose the food which does not need that much cooking: fruits and vegetables, beans, nuts and seeds, and yogurt. So that is going to help you eat some good food. And then you'll be able to exercise as well. So I think
the bottom line is right now, you've watched this video. Hopefully you're seeing it earlier in the season. Take some time and set up a plan, as Sharif mentioned. And that plan should include some supplements. It should include a good sleep schedule too. We didn't talk too much about sleep, but we've got a number of videos on it. So make sure you're getting enough sleep. Make sure you're hydrated. Reduce your stress by staying away from those stressful situations. Pick the right kind of food. Get out and do some exercise. I want to wish everyone watching our video a happy festive season, whichever holidays you're going to celebrate. And for those of you who are following us, we do appreciate you liking this video and sharing it with your friends, in particular this one, and maybe those siblings that drive you crazy. Have them watch this one too. As always, we appreciate you watching. We look forward to seeing you on the next one. Take care. Sharif and I appreciate you liking this video, and more importantly, remember to subscribe to this channel. There's a lot of content that we're going to be creating, and we don't want you to miss a single second of it.